So, yeah. But what I was saying about Chuck is that Chuck is not in this level at all, despite being introduced in downtown Bikini Bottom. Which is weird, because Glove is.
G-Love?
G-Love, yes. But this is the first example of a level that actually only has 3 areas instead of 4. This is already the final area of Goo Lagoon.
Why do I feel like I remember this?
Because this is one of the most iconic sections of the entire game. Goo Lagoon Pier. Go ahead and talk to Mr. Krabs really quick.
What do you want, bitch?
SpongeBob, help
me find Patrick. I have a chest that I think he can help me with.
So you're going to want to switch to Patrick. But yeah, Goo Lagoon Pier, probably my favorite.
Sorry, lad.
I don't know if it's my absolute favorite. Second or third favorite section in the entire game. I love Goo Lagoon Pier.
And worse, me money. If you help me get rid of that no-good
robot, I'll give you a big reward.
But yeah.
My commentary is better.
You're reading the screen. But yeah, Goo Lagoon Pier, I love this area. I would spend so much time. I would spend so much time in this level as a kid. I'd play this over and over again. I had so much fun.
Get out, me ticket booth. Fuck, I broke it. Oh no.
You were supposed to do that.
Oh, okay.
Wait for it.
Look! Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
There it is. That song in the GameCube version is obnoxiously loud, and it's still obnoxiously loud in the remake. So, yeah. One thing I suggest you do is go back to Mr. Krabs after you ride this. I want you to go around it once just to go around it. Also, you'll notice those are the same dragon things that spew fire.
How many of these do I have to carry?
But on the Ferris wheel, obviously. You're going to want to be careful because the physics on these are wonky. In the original game, they don't rotate like that. They're just stagnant. But if you could go ahead and go back to Mr. Krabs, because something I didn't know as a kid, and I only learned...
Look.
Yeah, the clams that act like seagulls. That's another little fun detail.
The clam gulls.
Yeah. But in the original game, when I played as a kid, I never knew this, but you can go back and talk to Mr. Krabs after you break the ticket booth, and he will have some dialogue to say. When I play it when I was younger, I always just went for the second objective.
Not exactly what I had in mind. I hope my insurance covers all this. Why don't you try something less expensive? Or, I mean, dangerous. I need them crazy robots cleared out of the bumper boats. When you've destroyed them all, come back and see me.
Mr. Krabs.
What did he
do? Fuck me with
do?
your big meaty claws.
Oh my god.
Just kidding. I am not crab sexual.
Oh dear. Yeah, I had no idea that dialogue was in the game when I played it as a kid. So, I didn't learn that until years later. But now we have our second attraction after the Ferris wheel. Here on the right, this is WhackaMole, only it's not Whack-A-Mole, it's Whack-A-Tiki. So, oh yeah, you can get those shiny objects. So what you need to do with this one is you need to activate the button on the right first. Right there with the throw fruit, and then you can play Whack-A-Tiki. So you're going to want to go ahead and destroy all 16 tikis in this area before you run out of time. I will say this minigame is... yeah, I think the hit detection on some of these spaces is a little wonky, but top right. Yeah, right there. This is definitely easier to pull off in the remake compared to the original because the spawn rates of them floating up and down is faster in the remake. I think. I could be wrong. That's just how it comes across to me. But yeah, there's a free sock for you. And then if you go left, you can fight some robots. But if you go right, you can actually...
Hey, you want some of this? You want some of this?
But if you go right, you can go on the teacups. So
I want this teacup.
Yeah.
Yay!
So you can get in the teacup and ride it around, which is fun. However, if you touch the side of the teacup, it will damage you. So, like that. So, don't touch the sides. If you touch it one more time, you're dead. You can get that underwear, though. But you can jump in them. So, Just something to keep in mind when you're navigating this little area. But yeah, I love this pier section because I'm one who's like super big on amusement parks, and it's funny because this game was introduced to me through my not blood related cousin, which I mentioned at the very beginning of the playthrough. My not blood related cousin, and when I say that, he was the son of my dad's best friend.
Yeah,
so we weren't.
You had explained
Yeah, but I didn't explain it to the viewers, so.
You did.
No, I don't believe I did.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
You did.
Well, anyways.
Hey, you did.
Mm-hmm.
You did.
Okay.
Do I have to wait for that little bubble?
Yeah, you can't do that thing yet, so you're just gonna have to skip that. But you can switch to SpongeBob right now, and you probably should to get one of the golden spatulas.
Sponge.
But yeah, you can't play skee ball yet. We will be back later for you to do that, so no sweat. But I will say is that my not blood related cousin,
let's call him Derek.
Okay, that's not his name, but sure, Derek. Derek introduced me to this game on his original Xbox because that's the version that he happened to have. You can't do that yet, but you can worry about it later. Just go forwards because there's something you need to do with SpongeBob first. Anyways, he lived near a pier, and every time we would go visit, we would go to the pier. So I associate this section of the game with it being on a pier at the beach with where they lived, because we'd go to that pier all the time, and there would be attractions like the teacups and some roller coasters and all sorts of stuff, and it was so much fun. And you know, I adored going there, and every time I play this section of the game, it takes me back to those days. So extremely nostalgic whenever we whenever I experience this section of the level of the game. So I always look forward to it, and it's a lot of fun because there's all sorts of mini attractions like the teacups, Ferris wheel, skee ball. One thing that I'm waiting for you to do, I don't know what you're trying to accomplish, right? What are you doing? But you can go right. Yeah, there's some carnival games. Yeah, if you bounce on that, you can come up here. Yeah, you can get up there, and then there's a bungee cord you can jump on to get a golden spatula. And there you go, that's all you need. You don't need to break the teepees. That was TMI. I'm probably gonna cut that out. But what I recommend you do is you go switch back to Patrick, because you won't be able to advance without him. Yeah, so you're gonna want to switch to Patrick.
You know what?
You can use that trampoline as a shortcut, by the way, if you just like bounce on it and then like cut across. Yeah, that way you don't have to go back around the long way.
There, so
I love that you just like stomped on the flags. That was weird.
Everybody's hating on flags. Might as well. Fuck.
Alright, so now that we're back with Patrick, you're going to...
You want some of this?
The game, Hans was like, fuck no, you ain't getting that.
Revoked, bitch.
Revoked, exactly.
Bitch, you've been revoked.
So...
What just happened?
What just happened is right. So you can go ahead and do this icy surface section now that you have the throw fruit. All you need to do is pick up the watermelon, get to the end, and break the duplicated trom with a watermelon. And because you decided to pause there, all of the enemies spawned before you could get it. If Patrick gets hit, he will drop the watermelon. You'll have to do it again. Also, be careful you don't slide off the edge like you almost did. But you didn't, so you're good.
Yeah, that's what being a boss-ass bitch is.
You get a sock for doing that, so... Yeah, there you go. That section always gave me trouble when I was younger. But...
Not me. You know why?
Why?
Bitch.
You almost died there.
No, I didn't.
Alright, but now, obviously, because...
I see a spatula.
Yeah, you'll be able to get that in a little bit. But, as I've made it clear plenty of times already, I love the sliding mechanics in Battle for Bikini Bottom. And you've got another slide on your hands this time around the pier. So go ahead and take that. So this slide is pretty much used as a way to navigate around the pier anywhere that you've already been. Just kind of as a way to backtrack faster. I mean, you can jump off at any point, but don't. I want you to ride it the whole way around because obviously. When you get to the end, you can jump and go for that purple object if you jump high enough, which doesn't look like you were. If you want to try again, go for it.
Yep. Got that motherfucker.
Yeah. I will say one thing that's different about the remake is Patrick's sliding animation. In the original game, he would kind of wrap his arms around his legs and tuck in, kind of like a cannonball. But he doesn't do that in this remake. In this remake, he just kind of lays on his back with his arms and legs sprawled out. There you go, you got it.
No, I didn't. Oh, I did.
Yeah, but yeah, so that was the sliding sequence. And now to wrap up the pier, we go to the bumper boat section, which is where Mr. Krabs wants you to clear out the robots. So you can go ahead and do that.
Now do I have to be SpongeBob?
No, you want to be Patrick.
What the fuck?
I will say another weird thing about this game, or actually no, I'll point out this detail later. I'll save it for later, just so in case I run out of things to talk about.
I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it.
RKO. Yeah, try and yeah, see? You can't do it as Patrick either. You can't hit Glove with the belly thrust as Patrick. You can't chop Glove with as Sandy. But I think you can hit them with the bubble wand as SpongeBob. I'll have you test that again the next time we see one. But that's annoying. I think that's so stupid. Why can't you hit them with your basic attack? If you want to go for that golden spatula you saw underneath, do not take that teeter-totter, whatever you do. Go that way. Because this is a section where you can get the freezy fruit, throw the freezy fruit on the water, and then go. And if you're fast enough and you belly thrust the whole way across, you can make it the whole way without having to stop at that fruit. Although I don't think, well, you might be able to make it, but...
I'm not gonna stop.
Okay, that's fair. But, like I said, one thing you can do is, you can make it the whole way without having to stop at that section if you belly thrust the whole way and you go straight for it. In the original game, you can make it without even having to use a belly thrust, because in the original game, the belly thrust does not even move you forwards. I don't know if I made that distinction earlier, but you don't move forward at all. So that's kind of something that the remake added, which, you know, it doesn't hinder the game. If anything, it makes Patrick's mobility a little bit better because he can use it in the air to move forward. Whereas he didn't really have that luxury or handicap in the original game. But another thing about the remake that I don't believe was true in the original game is that in the remake, whenever you throw the freeze fruit on frozen surface, it resets the timer. In the original game, the freezy fruit would just kind of set there on the water. So that was a nice addition. Don't take that yet. Take the warp box. Because you cleared out the bumper boat, so you need to go see Mr. Krabs.
That crabby bastard. Bitch.
What did he do to you?
Here is your reward.
Here is your reward. Wow.
And there you go. That's what you get for clearing out the bumper boat. So you are 25% of the way done the game.
Done with the game.
Done the game.
Done with the game.
Done the game.
Alright guys, in the comments below, please tell me, is it 25% of the way done with the game or 25% done the game? Thank you.
Grammatically speaking, it's done with, but I think just saying done the game still gets my point across perfectly fine.
You sound dumb.
No, I'm just saving myself a word.
What? I'm sorry. I woke you up. Okay. I'm sorry.
Alright, so we're in the very, very, very last thing you need to do for Goo Lagoon until you beat the level. All you gotta do is switch to SpongeBob really quick.
Cutscene broke my melon.
Yeah, that cutscene was just showing you that these trampolines are spawning in so you can get back and forth now that you've made it. But go ahead and switch to SpongeBob so you can activate the final lifeguard tower, destroy that robot, and free all of the sunscreen so that the fish don't fry.
Get it? A fish fry?
Yeah. That's the
Alright, this one?
Yep. And there you go. Destroy Hammer.
Ham. Ham bone, ham bone.
Hammer. Oh, I get it. And you got surfs up because you beat Goo Lagoon. So go ahead and take that trampoline back to Larry, and then he will give you that golden spatula he said he'd give you. And there you go.
You're king of the beach. Here, have a golden spatula. Told you my commentary's better. It is.
There you go. 26.
26. Awesome. Glam goals.
Yeah. Go ahead and pause the game really quick. I just want to make sure we didn't miss any for whatever reason. Press X. And you got all 8. And we only missed 3 socks. And I know where 2 of them are. No, actually I know where all 3 of them are. So there won't be... I won't even need to look up that stuff. Because one thing I will admit is I may know this game like the back of my hand. Or at least 96% of it. But there are a few socks that I tend to forget where they are from time to time. So if you want to go ahead and go back to Bikini Bottom so we can wrap this up. But we do have one other thing we need to do first.
We need to go talk to somebody?
Not quite. If you can turn around and go forwards to that 15 spatula barrier.
Yeah.
That little toll booth right there. We're going to go ahead and take that out while we're here. And we're going to...
The Poseidome?
The Poseidome. Do you know what's at the Poseidome? Well, we're about to find out.
I have brought you two here to face a great challenge.
I've got nerves of steel and muscles of sand.
And eyes of jelly. My Poseidome has been breached by a mighty foe whom you must vanquish.
Bring it on, Your Highness! Bring it on!
In this corner, defending the Poseidome, a small square guy. And his challenger, a huge murderous robot shaped like a squirrel.
Look, it's a giraffe.
I think I need to get home to feed Gary.
Alright, this is the first of the major area bosses in the game. Robo Sandy, actually. What you need to do with Robo Sandy is you need to hurt her by using that, well, you know, you just use the ground stomp. What you can't really see right now is that there is a button on the bottom of her head that you need to press in order to do damage to her. You do that by ground stomping, like the game is showing you right there. You were a little late, but that's okay. What you need to do is ground stomp to send her head skyrocketing up in the air, like that. And that will do damage to her. As you can see, her tail is on fire. That's actually not in the original game. That's a detail added for this remake. But if you go ahead and do it one more time, that's all 3 hits, and you've already taken out the first phase.
I wanna play!
Patrick, we're not playing! We're fighting for our lives!
I wanna play!
Oh, all right!
Alright, so now this part is asking you to bounce and throw the head. The nice thing about the major area bosses, well, at least 2 of the 3, is that you actually swap characters in the middle of the battle. So you get to play as 2 characters while fighting.
Sorry, Chica was in my way.
Oh. The first of which is Patrick. The character you play as is obviously...
Where do I throw it?
You throw it in the electrical thing with the mark. And that does damage to it. So, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You know, every phase allows you to hit the boss a little differently. There is so much I want to say about this fight. I don't even think I'm going to get to say it all before you're done. But, yeah, so you play as the character, you play as the opposite character for whichever boss fight you're doing. So because you're fighting Sandy, you play as Patrick. When you fight Patrick, spoiler alert, not really, you'll play as Sandy. One thing I will say about the remake compared to the original is I think that these boss fights are actually a little bit worse in the sense that, first of all, I think Robot Sandy's animations are really stiff and not as fluid and floaty as the original games, which I don't really like personally. But the boss fight just feels faster and it feels like it's over sooner.
That was fun! Your turn, SpongeBob!
Oh?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut myself off there. I just wanted to let that cutscene play out. One thing I liked about the original game is how the boss fights were paced. Robot Sandy takes way less time to activate her moves and attacks, which some people probably like. But I don't know. I always thought it was better paced the other way around, so that's just me. So for the last hit, Robot Sandy, well, you already figured it out. She just holds her head out and you go ahead and bubble bash.
Like a new sponge.
This clothesline move used to give me so much trouble as a kid, but you seem to you didn't have any trouble there. Another detail I like that's not in the original game is that image of Sandy ripping off Patrick's head from the episode, oh crap, what's the episode called? It's the one where they fight over being Dirty Dan.
No,
that I should know the name
Dirty
of, but just
Dan.
don't. Exactly.
Spring breeze.
One final detail is that I really like how in the remake you don't have to, well, actually I'll point it out after this cutscene.
That was quite a battle. Tell him what he's won, Johnny.
It's a new power, the Bubble Bowl. But wait, there's more. A golden spatula. And that's not all. A gift certificate for $5.32 to Dean's Little Shop of Dried Fish Flakes and Flowers.
Oh, thank you. It all means so much. I promised myself I wouldn't cry.
Cry all you want, but not here. We just wax the floors.
Okay, so the things I wanted to say was that I really like how, well, I like how they added the SpongeBob being buff after the Fry Cook Games, that's in the Fry Cook Games episode. I really like that. What you said, you liked the detail on their skin. I think it's really good too.
The texture,
the textures, and yeah, the models in this game look great.
Yeah, their speaking and their animation is very fluent.
Mm-hmm. And then the last thing I wanted to point out was that in the original game, if you were to jump whenever Sandy smashed the ground, you wouldn't be boosted in the air like the remake does, and it would actually make it harder to stomp sometimes. Although sometimes it's actually faster. You just need to time it right. But yeah, that's all I really had to say about Robot Sandy, so let's go ahead with this little dialogue exchange.
Yes, what is it?
I was just wondering why all the robots seem to be coming from inside the chum bucket.
Have they? I really haven't noticed.
Yeah. And then there's that big flashing neon sign that says Robot Headquarters.
Actually, it says Robo Headquarters.
SpongeBob, I'm your friend, right?
No, not really.
Oh, shit. Roast.
Exactly, and as your non-friend, I worry about you. Like right now, you're thinking too much. I'm worried you might really hurt yourself. Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna think for you. This way you won't hurt yourself, and you can just keep working on getting me into the chum bucket.
Thanks, Plankton. You're the best non-friend a friend could have. No more thinking for me.
Talk to him again, actually.
Not thinking, not thinking, not thinking.
It's like almost like a play on.
Hurry up, I've got big plans to proceed with.
Almost like a play on Winnie the Pooh. How he goes think, think, think.
Yeah. So before you get into that section, we're actually going to wrap things up, so we'll explore this in the next part, okay?
Alrighty.
Alrighty, so thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed Goo Lagoon and the Poseidome, and we will see you in the next part when we take on the next level, which is... I'll keep it a secret, just in case you don't know. But with that said, I'm Shadow.
And I'm Taylor.
And we will see you guys in the next part.